So what's up? It's gonna be a tutorial long playthrough with words of Serious Sam the First Encounter. I'm just gonna go through the whole game, sort of dump my brain into this video, and just explain how all the tricks are done, what the thought process is for a lot of it. And it should hopefully be informative. The category I'm gonna be doing this for is single player, new game, tourist/easy. There's also normal. There's also serious. Those are different. Those are completely different categories with different tricks. They use rocket jumping for most things, but the reason why tourist and easy get lumped together is as a category is because they have the same enemy spawns and because rocket jumping does not work. So there are a lot of tourist easy exclusive tricks that are not on any of the other categories. And this category is played on easy because the higher difficulty means we get more height out of cannonball jumps. A couple other things I should probably explain before we start the run. This game, you're going to be quick saving and quick loading a lot. By default, that's on F5 and F9, which is terrible. So I highly recommend that you rebind those to something else. I have them bound to left, shift, and B respectively. You can't do that from the game's options. So you should go into your installation and go look for the config file and then edit it there. I'll have it in the video description. I'll also have in the description a console command that will put a timer on the top of the screen, like here if I start real quick. You can see at the top of the screen there's an in-game timer. We don't actually use that for anything, but it's kind of nice to have, especially for one thing in particular. I'll point it out. So I highly recommend you run that command to get the timer up there. And I think that's about it, so I'll start the game now.
Ready for battle.
The timer starts when you gain control. If you're using live split like I am, there's an auto splitter which will automatically start the splits there. That's why it started and I didn't have to press anything. That's new to me. But this first level is very straightforward. We knife this guy so he dies faster. Look straight ahead and then hold space as soon as you hit the bottom of the water there, and you should get a clean exit out of the pool every time. And then at the end of the level, you just grab the shotgun and then make sure you get through this door before it closes on you. Easy. That ought to be an easy 35 every time, approximately. So this is the first hard level, though. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get behind... How do I want to explain this? So we want to get a clear with us behind this building, and then we're going to have the clear boost us over one of these mountains and get out of bounds, and then from there we're going to be able to fly to the end of the level. There's a whole lot that goes into this, though. So first things first, as I head up there, it's going to spawn in some kamikazes, and it's also going to spawn in 2 Nars. We want to kill the 2 Nars in a certain way so that it spawns the clear in at a convenient time. Kill him. Killing the first one is what causes all the other kamikazes to spawn in, and for the most part we're going to be avoiding the kamikazes, but we're going to kill the first 2. So you can hear that the clear is spawned in, and I'm trying to get the clear to jump around this corner with me. Depending on the random parameters of the clear, it could not like to do that. This one looks like it's going to be pretty friendly, I'm just not playing it very well. I changed my mind. This clear is really bad, actually. So this happens sometimes. This would typically be a reset if you were going for PB attempts, because this clear is just not cooperative at all. There, we got him. So now that we've got him, we're going to jump up this seam between the 2 polygons. And our goal is to get him to push us up there, which it looks like he might do... Not on this one, but on this next one. I could have played that a little better. There we go. This one will work. So there we go. We get to the top, and then we slide down and out of bounds. There are a few things that you need to consider when you're doing this trick. I'm going to load back in to show that. If we wait too long here and we can't get out of bounds, then the kamikazes will start to get themselves around the corner. And once the kamikazes start to get themselves around the corner, you can see that they can really interfere with things. And actually, if a kamikaze is around the corner and touching the clear, then the clear will not climb up the hill to launch you. When actually he just fell back in bounds there. That's another bad thing that can happen. So you want this to work quickly once you're around the corner. If you want to be absolutely safe, you can try to kill off some of the kamikazes before you attempt the trick, just to kind of keep them at bay. But anyway, a lot of this is just going to come down to understanding how different clears behave based on the random parameters, and then being able to play to that quickly. So anyway, reloading back out of bounds because I don't want to do that again. So now we're here. The exit to the level is over there in that hallway. We're not going to go directly to that hallway. We're going to head over here. You can adjust your height up with space and down with crouch. And as soon as I get close to these mountains, I'm going to teleport back in bounds. I'm going to teleport back in bounds, and it'll put me like halfway across this room. The reason for that is because all of the rooms in this game are surrounded by massive teleporters that are meant to try to keep you in bounds. And we're going to abuse that teleporter here to put us ahead a little bit. So now we're here, and now we can walk to the end from here. I'm going to see if this bull is going to be nice, and he might give me a boost. Nah, that bull's going to be bad. I'm going to bail on that immediately. If you play your cards right, you can have that bull launch you directly to this door, and it's a little bit faster. But, nah. I saw that bull wasn't going to work immediately, and when you see that, just bail. You'll learn how to identify that. Nice, got a back boost from that kamikaze. Oop, that wasn't good. That's why I don't like to jump over that clear. Anyway, Tomb of Ramses is a bit of a technical level. It has a lot of inbounds tricks. The first one is coming up right now. We're going to come up here to this shortcut, and the shortcut at the end of this hallway is a door. And if we get too close to the door, then it'll lock, and it'll spawn a bunch of enemies, and you'll have to fight them, or you could jump on their heads and get over the door or whatever. But we can avoid the door locking altogether by jumping over the invisible trigger that spawns the door to lock. And the invisible trigger, the setup for jumping over this is to jump at the 7th pillar. So you see these pillars on the wall, and when I cross the 7th one, I'm going to jump. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 7th, I jump, and that should get you over it pretty much every time easily. We've got a bit of a fork in the road and tricks right here. There's an easy way to do this and a hard way to do it. And the hard way is, of course, about 5 seconds faster. Oop, don't want to kill him. He's important. So I'll show you the fast way first. This is what you should be going for when you're first learning this game. The easy way is to come over here to this ledge, then just jump on his head, and you get up immediately, and the door is right over here. The faster but much harder way, and I'll load 2 saves back for this, is to take him instead over here. And we then have to jump on his head, jump around this lip, and then get up like that. That is indeed a curse trick. That's a really tough one. That is deceptively annoying. You can jump up that ledge really easily. It's slightly faster, but much harder to jump up over here. Ooh, did I get it? Yeah, there you go, like that. I personally like to go for the corner because I'm more consistent at it, but your mileage may vary there. Either way, it saves like half a second over just walking up the stairs, so it's up to you. And then to end the level... Oop, that's not good. That's not good. Here, let me just reset this thing. Oh man, this is a mess. This is a big mess. To end the level, we're trying to jump on a clear to get up onto this ledge. I've totally screwed it up here, but there we go. You want him to be running at you straight so that you can just jump as he lunges under your feet. He was not running at me straight there, so everything got screwed up. So this one, Valley of the Kings, this is our next big out of bounds level. And instead of using a clear this time, because these mountains are way too high for that, we're going to be using a bull, and we're going to have the bull boost us. I mentioned bull boosts briefly back in Sand Canyon, but I didn't actually do one, so you'll see what that's about now. So here's the bull, and there's the boost. This is what bulls are meant to do, and we just direct the bull to boost us in favorable directions. So to get a good bull boost, I like to bounce off the side of the horns like that. It'll kind of send you in the direction you want. We're going for up there. I've completely overshot it. This is pretty sloppy. We're trying to get back behind that tree. So I stand on this polygon, and I want the bull to then run up the polygon at me like that. Once he's running at you at a good angle like that, it's basically just a matter of timing when you run into the bull, as well as what angle you run into the bull at, and sort of how fast he's moving, and that'll affect your angle when you're going up the hill. And you just want to get, ideally we go on this side of the tree. You can go around the tree that side, but it's always a little spooky. A couple more things that I should mention about this trick probably. I moved close enough to that door back there that I spawned in the green guy who shoots the homing projectiles. That can be advantageous sometimes. The homing projectiles can give you that last little boost you need if you don't quite have enough speed to make it over. Another thing, and this is really situational, I don't recommend this, but if you're not going to make it over, you can try to land on the back of this tree. And if you land on the back of the tree, then you'll be able to jump, and then you can just jump over and out of bounds. Normally, when you're sliding up here, you can't jump, so that's just a nice trick to have in your pocket. But anyway, regardless of how you did it, you're now here, we're out of bounds. The end of the level is... my bad, I was wondering if that was going to happen. Let me try this again. The end of the level is back there in that room with the water. But there is a problem. We we're a little too high up, and if I try to crouch right now to lower my height, it doesn't work. We're just crouching in midair. So that's a little different than Sand Canyon. In Sand Canyon, if you crouch, you go down, but in this level, you don't. So we have to clip back and bounce here. And then the way you get crouch to work is to just make sure that you're in mid-jump when you cross this threshold and get back out of bounds. So now I'm back out of bounds, and I can adjust my height up and down. I should probably mention, by the way, while we're flying over here, I've been doing a couple of these tricks in third person. The default keybind for that is the H key. It's up to you whether or not you want to do them in first or third person. I think I'm a little weird in that I do a lot of this game in third person, and I just find it's more convenient to be able to see all of Serious Sam's hitbox on screen at once, just to have a better idea of where your position is. I know we fly into that room, that's the end of that level. So now we're on to the hardest level, Oasis. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to show this correctly. I may have to splice in the proper strat. But we fall down here. Now we're going to go ahead and abuse those giant invisible teleporter boxes I mentioned again. The giant invisible teleporter around this room happens to clip and bounce a little bit in the back of this waterfall. So if you see there's like an inclined floor back here, you just run towards the back, and then when you're standing on the inclined floor, you jump like so, and it'll warp you back in bounds and across the lake like this. Just a little bit of a time saver. From here, I'm actually going to make a hard save because we have two options. The fast strat, which is like 25 seconds faster, and the consistent strat. I'm going to attempt to show you the fast strat here, but again, this strat is unbelievably frustrating. Top level runners will go for this in full game runs. I'll do that, but if you're just starting out, you might want to consider the other method. But anyway, here we go. So if you want to go for the fast strat, we first need to spawn the enemies in. So I just go back a little bit. There they are. Don't really want to get shot because I need to conserve HP so I can have as good a chance that this is possible. All right, that looks good. And now we're trying to jump over this hill. I'm just going to jump up here. And then... Ooh, that was good. And then... See, once you're up here, you need to avoid the teleporter box like that. And then there we go, out of bounds. That was incredibly fast, by the way. That was... If I got out of bounds first try, that would have been an IL record quality run. That was a very fast one. It is a lot harder than that, trust me. But you're basically just looking for the rockets fired by the red guys, the harpies, and the clears to sort of come together and give you their energy and boost you up over the hill. Then once you're up over the hill, there's a very tight window to fall back down without hitting one of the teleporters and going back in bounds. So once you get that, you would fly to the end of the level, which is in that room back there. I'll show you the other way, though. The other way is less random, more skill-based, but probably higher skill. So I'll show that as well. For this one, we're going to go inside, and we're going to be clipping up through the ceiling of this building. So I can kill these dudes if I want to. We don't need them. I destroy the statue. We're going to do this using a secret bouncer, which spawns where the statue was. So I need to destroy the statue, grab the 2 1 HP things in these corners, and then also grab the 1 shield thing in this kind of side room. And when I grab this, you'll see it says secret bouncer has been revealed. The secret bouncer is up on this ledge. So I'm going to hop up there. Actually, I'm going to kill these guys first because they can get in the way. I'm going to kill the Nars as well. They can be annoying. So once we're up here, this is the secret bouncer. You can see if a clear touches it, they get flung all the way over there. And if we touch it, we'll get flung over there too. But we want to hit the bouncer, then hit a clear, and have the clear redirect our velocity up through one of the holes in the ceiling. So right now I have all these clears that spawned in, and they're kind of running at me. I want to stand not directly behind this. Like you can see, I'm off center with the bounce pad. And that's because I'm trying to line up with the holes a little bit. And this spot looks pretty good. So as soon as... Ooh, that was good. But so right when a clear goes up onto the ledge, I walk forward, I hit the bounce pad, I hit the clear, and I go up through the ceiling. There we go. That took a couple extra tries. And then once we're through the ceiling, we need to be able to lower our height again, like I mentioned in the last level, so we just make sure that we're jumping as we cross over the threshold out of bounds. And then, just like the other method, the end of the level is over there. The other method clips you out of bounds in that corner. So those are the 2 different ways to do Oasis. The first way is much faster, but fair warning, you will reset for hours to get 1 attempt. That's the kind of trick it is. I made both of those look easier than they are, though. I think I got pretty lucky. So, if you're following along with the video and you got to this point and you've been doing all the tricks so far, then congrats. The hard stuff is done for now. The early game is really, really difficult. And if you can get those tricks down, then you are basically already a TFE speedrunner. For this level, the first half of it is just going to be bull boosting to the back. We've got 2 bulls. If we do this correctly, we'll sort of have the bulls out of phase with each other, so that'll hit one, and then the other one will hit me immediately. I don't really have that set up here. There we go. That's sort of what it would look like. Then once we get over here, instead of trying to unlock the door, we'll just jump over the wall. And the way you jump over the wall is by staying kind of far away from it and then hitting space when you get hit by the bull, and that gives you a ton of extra height. From here we have this locked door that we have to get through, and we're going to clip into this locked door and touch the end of level trigger. If you look at this in like the serious editor or something, so you can see all the triggers, the end of level trigger is inside this door. It's like just barely in there, so all we really have to do is put Sam's hitbox into the door a tiny bit, and then that'll be enough to touch it and end the level without having to go through the door. So we're going to do that by having a clear lunge at us in a good way. And the first step is to grab this 1 HP, then to also grab this red backpack, pause a second, and then walk towards the door. And I'm just standing in the middle of the door and holding forward into it. And you can see when those clears lunged at me, they just immediately, boom, trigger the end of the level. This level is completely straightforward. It's just a walking stage. Be a little bit careful when you're doing your menuing, by the way. I should bring this up now because it happened to me earlier today. When you're doing your menuing between levels, make sure you're not doing like too many extra inputs, because every once in a while, and I find it happens pretty often coming out of dunes, you'll be greeted with a black screen at the start of the next level, and that means that your game is soft locked and you have no choice but to end the run, which is very unfortunate. So just keep that in mind. In fact, I think that's only ever happened coming out of dunes. It might be a dunes related glitch. Very simple level though. We just hit those 2 buttons and then jump in here. Try not to hit that ledge. Okay, sewers. Sewers is the obligatory water level. We come down here and we're going to take this secret path. Make sure you take your knife out here because any gunfire will wake up these fish and then the fish will bounce you around. Want to hit that button. And the reason why I have the knife there is so that I can mash left click. I can mash left click through that button without waking up the fish. We're going to do another jump here to jump over an invisible trigger. This one's a little harder than the last one, but still has a very consistent thing you can look for. Let me just kill some enemies so I can explain this. So the thing that we're looking for is to jump as we're walking past this pillar. So like at the halfway point-ish of this pillar, I'm going to jump. And we don't want to hit our head on this sloped part of the pillar because otherwise we won't jump high enough and we'll hit the trigger. So just like that, that should be pretty good. Yeah, and you can tell you've got it because the lights don't turn on back here. And there's supposed to be a door that comes down, but the door does not come down if you jump over it. From here, we just have fish boosts to the end of the level. If you want to play fish boosts safe, then just take out your Tommy gun and shoot the fish once as you're swimming past them, and that'll sort of reset their timer a little bit and give you a chance to get set up. You'll get more boosts if you don't shoot them, but sometimes they'll shoot you backwards. Also, if you don't swim forwards, then sometimes they'll give you a bit better boosts. Alright, I'm going to try to show you the quick way that I just learned recently for doing the start of Metropolis. Shoutouts to Invive for this. We run up to this guy, shoot him below the nipple, and then jump at him. And then, for whatever reason, if you do that, you get a bunch of extra height, and you can get up here. Don't ask me quite how that works. Just practice it yourself. You run up to him until you're facing up against him. Then shoot below the nipple. He sort of recoils. Then you jump at him, jump off of his head, and you get a super jump. That's just like a consistent super jump setup. You can actually do that without shooting it as well, but it's much harder that way. Yeah, you're looking for your reticle to be like a little bit below his right nipple is what I found. It's like pretty weird. The way this game's reticle works is it doesn't stay centered. Depending on how close objects are to you and like the angle and stuff, you can see as I look at the floor, the reticle is adjusting. So you don't actually have to look at that spot for the reticle to be below the nipple, but that's where you want it to be. He called it, in Discord, he called it the under nipple. I found that really funny. That saves about 1 second over the old strat, which was called the Twitch t-shirt guy jump. So this is a spicy level. I'm just gonna spoil it now though. This is actually not a spicy level. Coming up, we have something like a 6-minute long fight against some dudes spawning in the corners. I guess the devs knew that you could get out here because they put this convenient bounce pad to get you back in. And now note where the timer is. Look at my timer at the top of the screen. I cross over the center point of this room, which spawns the enemies in right at the 16-minute mark, which means that these kamikazes are going to be spawning in for the next 2 minutes until the 18-minute mark. So I don't really have the pattern for these guys memorized. They spawn in on timers. You don't have to know the pattern. But you do want to know what the end looks like, because you want to kill the last kamikaze as soon as he spawns in so that the next wave can start faster. So I know that the end happens about 2 minutes from now, so I'm basically just on autopilot now until I see that timer at the top of the screen hit 18 minutes. And then I know about how the last 5 spawn in. This is, I've said it before and I'll say it in this video as well. If anyone out there can figure out a method for clipping through this door, or just in general skipping this fight, I will pay you $50. I will put a $50 bounty on Metro Skip. This has been in the run since its inception. No one has ever been able to skip this, and man, is it terrible. There's one other long fight like this in the run. It's not quite as long. I'm gonna grab this armor, by the way. Armor is a bit concerning in the late game, but in the early game, but at this point in the game, it's fine to have armor, and I want it to sort of keep my health high, rather. So it's 18 minutes, so the end of the level should be coming up soon. Am I stupid? I am stupid. Okay, so the end looks like this corner, that corner, this corner, then this one, and then the very last guy spawns there. So you just get him as he's spawning in, and then I didn't play that great, but that's how you do it quickly. So the next wave is harpies. There's 2 waves of harpies. The first wave and then the second wave, which spawns in on a timer. So you'll pretty much always deal with the first wave before the second one spawns in, and then the second one you'll want to deal with as quickly as possible. The way I'm going to deal with the first wave of harpies, though, is by just walking under them to try to herd them all into one big cloud, and then once they're there, I can take them out really quick with the grenade launcher. This is pretty good. They need to stop getting in front of me, though. That's annoying. Alright, now that they're all back there, I'm just gonna blast them. This isn't great. They're not too close together here. It's taking a lot of extra ammo. But it doesn't matter, because I got them all, and in time for the second wave to spawn in. The second wave, we're just gonna give each one their own fully charged grenade like this. And this wave needs to die as soon as possible so that the next wave can spawn in. So having good aim here is important. My aim was not great. Yeah, I had like 2 or 3 misses. Oh, I had another miss as well. I didn't know that guy was still alive. Okay, that wasn't very good. But as soon as they're all dead, this stuff will spawn in, and then the bulls. Bulls are straightforward. Just drop a whole bunch of these. Try not to get bounced all over the room. Bleh, okay. Only one wave of bulls. Oh, I was way off of where that was gonna spawn in. Okay, but anyway, from here we just have I'm gonna grab this armor. From here we just have the clears and the red guys as the last waves. There's a couple waves of these clears that are gonna spawn in. There's another red guy that'll show up as well. I want to position myself in a specific spot so that I can deal with the clears quickly, and that spot is approximately here-ish. Oop, I was off by a bit. But you'll see that I'm trying to line myself up horizontally with the line of clears that spawns in. And that way I can just walk down the line like this and blast them all. After this, another red guy is going to spawn in over there. I have a whole bunch of rockets prepared for him. Yeah, and now I'm going to fire a whole bunch of rockets down where the line of clears is going to spawn in. I was completely off again, so I'm not sure how effective that was. But if you line up with the line of clears correctly there, then firing all the rockets down the line will take out a whole bunch of them right at the start. I've just got one more line, and then the door will open. That still wasn't lined up very well. Oh well. I think you get the idea of how that's supposed to work. And as we're doing that last line, we just walk over to the door. So we got another long walk ahead of us here. From here, health management becomes really important in this run. If you play the game on Tourist, and actually if you're first learning the game, you might want to consider playing on Tourist. Your HP is constantly regenning, so you don't really have to ever worry about your health or dying or anything like that in a Tourist run. But on easy, as soon as we get into Alley of the Sphinxes, you really got to start watching your health, because now we're going to start doing cannonball jumps. I think my armor's fine, so I'm going to skip that. So grabbing that piece of 1 armor is what spawns this bull in, and we're going to use the bull to just boost over to the next one a little bit. Maybe I'll take 1 more boost. And I'll go for another since that didn't quite work out perfectly. Alright, great. So now we've got the cannon. First thing I'm going to do with the cannon is kill that red guy. Said he can't take too much health from me. My rule of thumb for doing this cannon jump is that I like to be at 165 or above. Otherwise, you run into a lot of problems. But just like before, if we jump over this wall using the bulls, just make sure that you press space to jump into their horns, and that's what gives you all the extra height. And I still have a tiny bit of armor left, which is okay. The more armor you have, or just if you have armor at all, that'll affect the height you get out of cannonball jumps. This is considered a really low cannonball jump, so it doesn't really matter. But pretty much just how rocket jumps work. You shoot at the floor, you jump, you go over the wall. They're a little bit different than rocket jumps in the timing. I sort of like to look at the ground, click, then jump, and I think you sort of ride the projectile up or something. It's hard to explain, but if you do a bunch of them yourself, I think you'll get the feel for it pretty quickly. So now, if you think back to Dunes, when we clipped through the door, we're going to do that again with this door. This one is a lot harder, though, because of course it is. So we grab this backpack, and then we also put that medallion thingy there. That's going to spawn in all the enemies we need. I'm going to kill off a couple of these guys, because otherwise they'll cause a bunch of problems. And if you look at my HP, I don't exactly want big red guys hanging around firing rockets at me right now anyway. I'm going to kill the Nars, but it's important that we leave that clear alive. That clear is what's going to clip us through this door. So the way I like to line this up is I like that clear to be centered with the door. Like, I want him to be running down this road in the center of the room, and once he is, then I'll move over to the door. And then I should probably do this a little slower so I can keep explaining, but once you've got him in the center like that, then you just line up perfectly. You want to be sort of at a perpendicular angle with the door. You want him to be running straight at you, although both those angles have some tolerance to them. And then right as he lunges at you, you want to jump. And I'm holding S to like be walking backwards into the door the whole time as well. So like this probably won't work because of how his angle is. Oh, there we go. But I think what's most important there is the timing with the jump. I think it's most important that you jump so that you sort of want the clear to be lunging into your legs. That's how I think about it. And as long as you have that, then even if his angle isn't perfect, or even if your angle isn't perfect, it'll usually still work. 158 is very low HP though, because I was messing around. So I'm gonna go back to my first setup. Okay, 175. I just want to have HP here because right at the start we do a rocket jump, or rather a cannon jump up here. And again, I like to keep it above 165, so once we're up here, I'm not doing a great job, but once we're up here, we jump off that guy's head. He's sort of partway clipped into the wall there for whatever reason. And then from his head, we can get through that window, that hole in the wall, and then we can get out of bounds like this. From here we have another long walk to the back of this room, or to the back of this level. This is another level where we have a long fight. This is the second long fight in the run of 2. This would be another great one to skip. The reason why this doesn't like Like, the reason why we can't skip this, like, say, a sand canyon where we're flying around, is because they put these big planes of sand out of bounds. Like, technically, we're still in bounds because we're walking on sand. So we can't just fly around out here, which is unfortunate. All we can do is walk to the end of the level and then finish it from there. It's going to be important that I really watch my health during this fight, though, because I want to keep it as high as possible, ideally above 200. As I'm walking over here, I destroy some of these trees, because line of sights are important. These trees are just going to get in my way. So now we're in the long fight. We start the long fight by grabbing one of these backpacks. Don't be too hasty to grab the second backpack. I see a lot of people do that, and then they run out of ammo at the end of this fight. So do not be that guy. We can save that backpack for much later. Oh, man. This pattern, just like the last one, is not important. All these guys spawn in on timers, so I'm just sort of going in a circle, blasting them, and then waiting for the next wave to start. Alright, that was all of them, I guess. Next we've got the clears. It's much easier to remember the order that the clears spawn in at, I say as I screw it up. But also, they're on timers, so it doesn't really matter. Oop. Bleh. What am I doing? I have no idea. My HP is pretty low. I could have sworn that was the end of them. I'm not on my A game at the moment with this fight at all, am I? That really ought to be the last of them, though. So next we're going to have 2 red scorpions up there. I try to time that shot always. That worked really well, but your mileage may vary with trying to time that shot. And you can tell that those red guys have died, by the way, because they play a different animation. Sometimes you'll hit them and they won't die. And they make a different sound, rather. So make sure that you hear the red scorpion death sound effect and not just the normal got hit one. Otherwise, sometimes I see people leave them up there. Alright, great. So I'm using the minigun for these harpies. I'm not gonna use... There's not enough harpies to really use the grenade launcher like we did back in Metropolis, and they're kind of spread far apart, and they're kind of far away like this. So I always just use the minigun for it. And once you're done with that, another wave of 2 red scorpions up there will spawn in. Now we've got a bit of a long wait for the last couple enemies to spawn in. I'm gonna come over here to this conspicuously miscolored block of wall. I'm sure there's nothing behind here at all. It says secret health has been enabled. That opens that area up, and we can grab that heart back there. Is there anything else that I want? I don't think I have time for anything else. So, last couple enemies. We have this dude, or we have 3 of these red guys, rather, and we have 2 bulls. There's a bunch more things that spawn in as well. Wow, that's way too low HP. I'm gonna have to, there's nothing I can do to recover this, actually. I made a big mistake. I should have quick saved before that. Man, this tutorial was going really well, and then now I'm gonna have to cheat. So I should explain, though, before I keep moving, what I did wrong there. right at the end of that level, you only need to kill the 3 bulls and the initial 3 red guys to get the door to open, right? I accidentally hit myself with one of my own cannonballs, which dropped my HP really low. So I think it's going to be fine, actually. The game does heal you a little bit between levels, so you can see I start in with the full 200, but I'm going to have to play this next section perfectly to have enough HP. So we'll see how this goes. But anyway, we're trying to do a really, really high jump. Like the highest cannonball jump you could possibly do. And I like to have over 200 HP for it. 190, anything over 195 should work pretty well though. So okay, this is gonna be fine. Crisis averted. I should explain. As I was walking over here, I killed off the clears, but not the gnars. Because the gnars are more friendly, and I want to use a gnar to get up onto that ledge that's too high to jump on normally. If you get here and your HP is like 170, 180, something like that, it's just slightly too low. You can come around this corner, and then there's a plus 10 HP thing there. I've seen that plus 10 HP thing really come in handy before, so just keep it in mind that that does exist. But anyway, this is the really high cannonball jump I was talking about. We're trying to get through that hole in the roof. And that hole in the roof lines up very awkwardly with this slope on the floor. If I try to do a cannonball jump on the slope on the floor, you can see the cannonball is just getting bounced away. So we want to be as close to the slope as possible without being on it. So like this looks pretty good. Now we want to charge the cannon for longer than usual to get more height. And then we want to also jump later than usual. Those are the two things that sort of give you more or less height. The timing when you jump and how long you've charged the cannon for. And we want to do this straight up as well. No, don't put any horizontal movement on it. And if you do it correctly, which I just did, then you'll be up here like that. I'll do another one. I'm sort of trying to jump straight up, but when I see that I'm going through the hole, I start holding W and A. Make sure that as soon as I am all the way up, I go out of bounds like this. And now we squeeze between this pillar and that room so that we can stay out of bounds, and we're able to fly under the level, and the end of the level is all the way back there. This is the trick that's not possible on Tourist, by the way. If you try doing this on Tourist, you just can't get enough height with the cannonball jump. So instead you would cannonball jump over a wall in the left courtyard. And then you'll walk all the way around. You'll have to go way out past the sand plane, and then you get under the level and you kind of hook back around to get into this end of level room. And that wastes, I think, about 45 seconds. I'm gonna grab this heart and this backpack just to make sure that my HP and my ammo are good for the last level. And then when you're coming back in bounds here, make sure that you're on the correct side of the door. I need to mention this because if you're coming up and you get stuck under the door, your run is just dead. I have done that and it is bad. The hell is this? Well, that was weird. I'm gonna be dead ass with you. I've done like 1,300 resets of this, and I've never seen what just happened, but it seems that the cutscene glitched out a little bit and it wasted some time, so that's cool. Just skip that cutscene quickly. In a run, that should never happen, okay? I don't know what that was. Oh, that level was a disaster, but okay. Now my chat's making fun of me, but that was weird. Anyway, Great Pyramid, last level of the game. To make triple sure I've got full ammo, I'm going to grab that backpack. So we've got two options here. We've got the big boy jump over the door, and we've got the baby strat where we jump over one of these walls. You can see that the door is a bit higher up than the walls. This is the absolute highest cannonball jump in the run. So this is a fairly tricky one, and I think I'm way too far away from the door here. Let's try standing about there. Maybe that's even a little too close. There we go. That takes a bit of practice to get down.
Well, you're a big one, ain't you?
Once I'm out here, I'm going to grab that health, I'm going to grab this backpack, and I want this heart as well. So for getting back to the pyramid, we're going to be using tons of bull boosts, and it's going to use up pretty much all of our health. Managing bulls here is a skill that'll be acquired with time. But basically, and this just goes for the whole game, I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet, always quick save before and after a successful bull boost. Like, if I get a bull boost that I'm not happy with, I will immediately quick load to try to get a different one. You don't ever want to get launched backwards here. Also, if you start building up a ton of bulls and they start interfering with each other, like bouncing off of each other and things, don't be afraid to just fire into the crowd and just kill off a whole bunch of your bulls. I also like to make sure that I always kill the big red guy as well, so that he won't hit me with a rocket, because by the time I get back here, my HP is pretty low. Like, you can see I'm down to 60. That's not good. I did take one backwards boost by accident, but my HP here is good enough that I think I'm gonna defer grabbing that heart until the timer starts like that. You can tell the timer starts because that binary thing over the door starts ticking down. It's just like a blurry mess before it's activated. But as soon as I see that sort of spawn in and start ticking down, from here the level is an auto-scroller. It's on a timer. So from there, I have a couple of minutes free to just go and grab the heart. And I'll deal with all these enemies as well. Try not to die to these enemies. That would be embarrassing. You definitely don't want to do that. I'm going to grab all the stuff up here as well. Once I've dealt with all these guys, I'm going to start firing on the boss just to get a bit of bonus damage in before the door opens. You can do like half his HP bar while you're waiting for this, but you can't kill him. Don't worry too hard about his projectiles here either. They're going to hit you, but they barely do a thing. Yeah, this is really thrilling gameplay here at the end. They're really building up suspense. If you listen closely in the background, you can kind of hear the timer ticking up, actually. Like, the pitch of the timer changes as it ticks down. So based on that, you can sort of tell where you're at, but it's not like a big deal if you just look back there just to see where the timer's at. Like, you don't have to worry too hard about wasting DPS here, because we're really just waiting for the second phase, which is where we're going to actually kill him. Another thing, though, try not to use up literally all of your cannonballs here. Like, actually, if you want to, when you first get up here and decide you're going to start fighting the boss, instead of using your cannonballs, fire a whole bunch of rockets first, and that'll sort of preserve ammo. That's better to do. But anyway, timer hits 0, we go into the pyramid, and from here all we gotta do is go through the 4 hoops and then trigger the big laser, and hopefully the big laser will kill him. If you have a whole bunch of cannonball ammo, my ammo is not great, so I'm not going to do this, but you can be a bit more efficient with your movement if you have enough ammo, because you can skip the backpacks. I recommend always grabbing the health, though, unless you really don't think you need it for some reason. Like, you could go directly to that slope, but instead I'm gonna grab this backpack. If you're running at these launchers directly, then it's not a big deal, but I always like to just triple check, always look down to make sure that you're going through the hoop. If you jump at one of these launchers from the side, then there's a small chance that your angle will be wrong, and then the launcher will send you like to the side of the hoop, and you're gonna want to correct for that. If you miss one of these hoops, it would be very unfortunate. That's hoop number 3. I think. Was that hoop number 3 or 4? Yeah, that was hoop number 3. Make sure you count as well. Don't be like me. Just count. Anyway, this is hoop number 4. Always make a quick save as you're going through hoop number 4, because here's the thing about the final boss. It is random how he moves around, and sometimes he is not lined up with the laser on the floor. You can see that's the circle on the ground there. So this looks like it's going to work just fine. The laser triggers and it hits him, but every once in a while he will be far enough back that the laser doesn't hit him. And so what you're going to want to do then is just quick load and try to just keep re-rolling the RNG until you get good RNG and he walks forward. That's why I always make a quick save before the 4th hoop. But anyway, that's it. That's Ugzan. We killed him. And then timer stops when this cutscene begins. Keeping track of the hoops is truly the hardest part of the run. Those early game tricks are free. Counting the hoops is truly impossible. But anyway, that's the whole run. If you're looking to submit your run to the leaderboards, you're going to want to make sure that you have this screen in. Specifically, make sure that the playing time is visible and the game time for total. And then I like to scroll down and show all the ILs as well. Another thing about leaderboards, actually, just while I'm on that topic, 100% make sure that you're using the auto splitter, because, and I'll change now, you can compare against game time, and then you can see your time without loads there. And your time without loads is required for the leaderboard, so make sure you have that. I think they'll accept your run without it, but they won't be very happy with you. So make sure you use live split in the auto splitter. But anyway, I think that's pretty much everything I've got to say about the run. If you have any questions, we have a Discord, a very active Discord with like every top runner of the game, and they would be more than happy to answer any questions. I'm there. I love answering questions. I'll link that in the video description. I'll do that. But yeah, that's the game. Thanks for watching the tutorial.